Emergency stops have some specific rules to them, and people generally get pretty excited about emergency stops because it's just something you can feel and touch and see, and everybody knows what they are. So emergency stops have to be continuously operable, clearly identified, and you have to be able to operate one of these devices in an emergency, in an urgent situation, right? So if I'm looking at this emergency stop here, and it's an urgent situation, and I really need to hit that emergency stop, and I come up with an open palm, and I slap that emergency stop, is the machine going to stop? Right here. This one with the ring guard around it. No, not with an open palm. Now, if my hands are on fire, or at least it feels like they're on fire, and I try to use my shoulder, or my knee, or my forehead, is it going to stop? Nope. No. Not if it's guarded, right? So we can't guard it. Now, is that readily accessible? That's kind of a judgment call, right? So what does readily accessible mean? Readily accessible. What do you think? Well, that's what the standard says. Standard says readily accessible. So I assume that if it's in the standard, we all understand what readily accessible is, and we all agree on the same definition, correct? No. Okay. All right. So here's here's kind of how I look at it. If I know my operator is always here, or you look at me, I've spent most of my time standing right here. Pretty good. I drifted a little bit. Hopefully I didn't drift off camera, but I drifted a little bit. But if I'm always right here, an E-stop right here would be great. A step and a reach, I think that's great. Now, if I got to go all the way over here to hit my E-stop, that might be too much of a distance for me to span, especially if there's a cart in the way or some other obstacle. But if I spend a fair amount of time over here, just like I do over there, well, then maybe I have an E-stop in both locations so that it is readily accessible from where I'm normally working. That make sense? It's a judgment call. It's a judgment call. So it has to be readily accessible. Okay? Capability of being reached quickly without having to remove obstacles or obstructions. It's the best definition we're going to get, right? But you're going to have to feel that out when you look at your equipment. Is that E-stop readily accessible? That'll be the question you'll ask. Okay? I would challenge that one. Okay, so this one, anybody read that? Can you read what it says? Yes. It's now something else. No, just kidding. No, it's a former, so that's the machine type is a former, right? But look at that E-stop. If I had an open palm, and it was really that size, it would work, but it's not. But if I came up with that open palm, shoulder, knee, forehead, I'm not going to get a stop. Same thing here. If that's down below, and I just put my hand across the top, it's not going to actuate. Here, I got like a paint can lid, like a yellow paint can, right? You take the lid off and just cut it out. Like, all right, well, I'll put that around there. Okay, we'll just put that around our E-stop. So those would be examples of guarding your E-stop where you really should not be guarding your E-stop. Now, why on earth would anybody guard an E-stop? Say again? Yes, exactly. I don't want people accidentally hitting the emergency stop. So I'm going to put a guard around it, and that way we don't have any accidental actuations of the emergency stop device. I guess my question would be, if it's accidentally getting tripped, why is it there? Why does it have to be in that exact location where it's accidentally getting tripped? Rather than put a guard around it, why don't we relocate the E-stop? Put it in a more readily accessible location. Move it somewhere where it stands out, where it's readily accessible, where you know you can get to it, okay? But guarding it is really not the option.